Hi there, folks. Now, one of the unforeseen challenges of this pandemic is that you're missing out on the most important part of your junior high education. And that's right, I'm of course talking about embarrassing yourself in front of others. So, missing out on this particular aspect, I'd like to help fill in some of the gaps with some of my own embarrassing experiences, because you have to be so careful about what you say in life. In fact, with this pandemic, you have to be careful about what you say about it. People might judge you, not necessarily even for spreading misinformation, but for perhaps proving your ignorance. For example, I know in class we were talking about COVID-19. Why is it called 19? We thought, well, were there 18 COVIDs before this? And it turns out, no, that's not the case. I even saw an article making fun of people who thought that was the case, and I thought, seems like it could be. I thought perhaps COVID-19 could have something to do with the structure of the virus. Maybe it's more serious than COVID-8, but on the bright side, it's not COVID-40. But turns out that's not the case either. I only discovered just recently that it's based on the year 2019, because this all did start at the end of last year. And the thing is, we're learning more things about this virus every day. In fact, just over the last couple days, there was a tiger in the zoo in New York City that came down with the coronavirus, which is all the more reason not to kiss your pets, because you never know. Maybe they could be vulnerable to this. You also have to be careful about talking to people about their pets. I know when I was in university, I worked for a couple months at Petland, and one of my favorite things to do was to sell fish, because we had the 30-day pet guarantee. And we always laugh about, yeah, if your fish dies, just bring the body back in and you'll get a brand new fish. And people don't really get attached to the fish quite as much as they do the furry, cute creatures. You know, your clownfish dies, don't worry, we'll find you another Nemo. But the thing is, that guarantee applied to the furry creatures too. It's just we never talked about it. No one really wants to talk about what happens if your puppy doesn't make it 2 weeks, right? Because it's inconceivable that could happen. But if it does, we had you covered. So people aren't used to dealing with puppies getting sick and dying at a young age. But ultimately, if you've had a pet, as they get older, it's something that you all have to face. And yet a lot of people are really uncomfortable talking about it. You have to be very careful about how you broach the topic to them. For example, when people's dogs or cats get up to 10, 15, even 20 years old, maybe you've been in this situation where they spend thousands of dollars on surgeries, medication, injections, just to buy 1 or 2 extra years of life. I recently was speaking to a friend, and I said, well, gosh, your cat is pretty much old enough to graduate high school, but not healthy enough to walk the stage. Maybe it's time that you put it out of its misery. And she said, now that you mention it, I really do regret inviting you to my daughter's 5th birthday party. So you have to be careful what you say. Speaking about children, people are very protective of their children, especially their babies. And if you want to offer constructive criticism about someone's babies, you have to be very careful. I know a few years ago we had a staff party, and a coworker was showing photos of not her baby, she didn't have one, but of her cousin's new baby, and said, hey, everyone, take a look. And I saw a photo of this baby, and I said, well, it's not her baby, so I'll be honest. I said, it's kind of an ugly baby. And she said, oh, Kurt, and the other people there said, oh, Kurt. The thing is, I wasn't joking. No, that really was. I've seen quite a few babies, and that was really not one of the better ones. As far as appearances go, right? Everyone was cooing about this baby. But you have to be careful with what you say about these babies. And now you're seeing a lot of baby photos surfacing these days. What with everyone cooped inside, it's beautiful, right? It's a blessing for these people to have their children, and I think it's adorable. I love seeing these photos of people's babies. The thing is, though, it's not just a fun pastime. You have to treat these baby photos pretty seriously. Because if you forget that someone has kids or how many kids they have, they'll be offended. They'll be very hurt by this. Having their children is a huge part of their identity. But how do you keep track of all these different babies? So one way that I've devised is come up with a simple ranking system. All you have to do is come up with a list, find the cutest photo of each baby, come up with a ranking of 10 or maybe 25, a top 25 if you know a lot of people, and that's an easy way to sort this. Now the problem with that, you have to be careful with that, because some people may be offended. Unless their baby is number 1, they could be very hurt by this. In fact, you could have someone approaching you and saying, oh, why? I don't know. Did you not see the photos of Sally? I posted them just yesterday. Maybe your list would be a little bit different because I didn't see Sally on your list. Maybe you didn't see the photos. And yeah, I saw those photos. Doesn't make a difference. So you have to be very careful with how you deal with the situation of babies, even if you're just trying to help, even if you're just trying to offer some constructive criticism. Because after all, there's nothing personal if their baby isn't quite as adorable as the others, right? Because, maybe genetics will help, and if not, they can always get some work done. So I hope that this seminar has given you some ideas about how to avoid offending people, because you do have to be very careful with what you say. Take care, and please be careful.